Tune into Nice Radio every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for A View from the Outside, hosted by Brereton Horne. A View from the Outside takes a look at key issues affecting St Vincent and the Grenadines and gives a global perspective on how these issues are viewed. Host Brereton Horne will examine a variety of topics to enlighten, stimulate debate, and explore solutions. Hear the facts, hear the real-life stories, hear A View from the Outside. Join Brereton Horne at 7:30 a.m. every Saturday on Nice Radio for A View from the Outside.
This society needs a spectacle. It might help us to see some evil. This society needs a spectacle.
On A View from the Outside this week being the 5th of November 2022, we look at murders unsolved, with the view being that recent statistics have shown that the number of murders which remain unsolved in St Vincent and the Grenadines present an alarming picture, a picture which ought to be of concern to every Vincentian and everyone connected in some way to St Vincent and the Grenadines. The Black's Law Dictionary defines murder as the killing of a human being, and the Cambridge Dictionary defines unsolved as something not solved or explained. From those definitions, we know that a murder is the killing of a human being. It is worth noting here that the term murder, as is used throughout this presentation, is used synonymously with the term homicide, which means the killing of a person by another person. Therefore, murder as used here is simply the killing of a human being. Also, the definition of unsolved tells us that if something remains unsolved, there has been no resolution to it. Therefore, if a murder, a homicide, or the killing of a human being remains unsolved, that murder has not gone before the court and no one has been convicted or acquitted of it. It is in the context of those definitions that we, here on A View from the Outside, present figures from 2017 to present, which indicate the alarming number of murders which remain unsolved in St Vincent and the Grenadines. The figures for the year 2017 show that there were 39 murders in the country in that year. Of those 39 murders, 5 have been completed, meaning that they ended in conviction or acquittal. 4 are still before the court, and 30 remain unsolved. Those figures from 2017 indicate that 77% of murders in St Vincent and the Grenadines in the year 2017 remain unsolved. The 2018 figures indicate that there were 34 murders in that year, and that of those 34 murders, 3 have been completed, 3 are before the court, and 28 remain unsolved. In percentage terms, those figures show that 82% of murders in St Vincent and the Grenadines for the year 2018 remain unsolved. The 2019 figures show that there were 19 murders in St Vincent and the Grenadines in that year, and that of those 19 murders, 3 have been completed, 5 are before the court, and 11 remain unsolved. It therefore means that 58% of murders for 2019 remain unsolved. The 2020 figures show that there were 33 murders in that year. And of those 33 murders, 14 are before the court, 1 was completed, and 18 remain unsolved. In percentage terms, it means that 54% of murders in that year still remain unsolved. In 2021, there were 32 murders. 6 are before the court, and 26 remain unsolved. Those figures indicate that 81% of murders in 2021 in St Vincent and the Grenadines still remain unsolved. The figures for 2022 are incomplete. Obviously, because this year, has not ended yet. However, current numbers so far indicate that there have been 34 murders, and of that number, 9 are before the court, and the others are still unsolved. In percentage terms, when those numbers are extrapolated, it means that for 2022, 74% of the murders so far remain unsolved. The overall picture shows, therefore, that 71% of murders from 2017 to the present in St Vincent and the Grenadines remain unsolved. It is to be noted that those figures ought to be viewed against the backdrop that the ULP government promised the people of St Vincent and the Grenadines prior to them coming into power in 2001, that they will be tough on crime and the causes of crime. Instead, the country has been plunged into extreme poverty, and the unemployment rate continues to skyrocket. People of St Vincent and the Grenadines, friends of St Vincent and the Grenadines, and all those connected to St Vincent and the Grenadines, pay attention to those figures. From 2017 to present, there have been 191 murders in the country. This indicates that at least 191 families, friends, and communities up and down the country are directly affected by these murders. Those numbers show that 71% of those murders in a 6-year period out of the life of the ULP government of 21 years remain unsolved. Those numbers signify a gross failing on the part of the ULP government to address and solve the frightening murder rate in the country. It is also worth noting that in addition to the fears and concerns of the general public, murders which remain unsolved have a devastating impact on the families, relatives, and friends of those who were murdered. The unsolved murders serve to prolong their grief. The longer the murders remain unsolved, the longer the grief is prolonged. Children, in particular, are devastated by the trauma. The longer the murders remain unsolved, the longer their fears remain heightened. The communities up and down the country live in fear, knowing that a murderer or murderers are walking around in their villages, their towns, and their communities. The longer the murders remain unsolved, the longer their frustrations grow. The longer the murders remain unsolved, they become prone to illnesses themselves. The longer the murders remain unsolved, their mental health deteriorates. The longer the murders remain unsolved, they become angry for fear that there will never be a resolution. The longer the murders remain unsolved, entire villages, towns, communities up and down the country are affected. The longer the murders remain unsolved, there is no closure for families, especially, and for the communities affected. The longer the murders remain unsolved, there is the possibility of retribution and vigilante justice. Vincentians, friends of St Vincent and the Grenadines, and those connected to St Vincent and the Grenadines. We, here on A View from the Outside, hope that the stark figures which we have presented to you in this program jolt you into holding the ULP government accountable. You deserve better. We all deserve better. Until next week, this is Brereton Horne with A View from the Outside, with a reminder to send your feedback as usual to aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. You can also get us on Facebook at A View from the Outside and on YouTube at JMB Horne. Have a pleasant Saturday, have a wonderful Sunday, and a productive week ahead, with everyone expressing grave concern for the alarmingly high number of unsolved murders in the country.